What's up, everybody? Yo, it's your boy Mark Howard. You know what we do? We talk Cowboys here. This is what we do. This is what we gonna do. How's everybody been? Took a little time away. You know, as I said before, I'm not one that studies the draft. I'm not gonna pretend to act like I'm gonna evaluate all these players to see what with film. This draft season is pretty good, and I leave that up to a lot of the experts, and then they do a very good job, especially covering the Cowboys and what we need. I definitely agree on that sense. The What I do want to talk about is a little bit of news of certain developments and things that's going on, things that are being said in the interim. Jerry Jones had a press conference the other day, last week after the team meetings out in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's always interesting when they put the mic under Jerry Jones's chin. He gonna say something. And I say that to say very lightly. He gonna say some shit, okay? And it's his prerogative. And you do wish and say, damn, Jerry, I wish you just shut the hell up. But in this process here, when they talked about, he was being grilled a bit about where things were going with the George Pickens negotiations and things of that nature. Right now, as he said, he hadn't been talking to the agent. He has talked to him, but right now they haven't talked. Didn't give too much about what they're going to do as far as what their strategy. Obviously, it's the right thing because that's part of their negotiation with George Pickens. Right now, he is under the franchise tag. By July 15th, they have to reach a long-term deal settlement. At July 15th, moving forward, it's a franchise tag. And a player has the choice to sign or don't sign. Now, let's be real. Not signing means you're sitting out. You're not under contract. You don't get paid. You don't become a free agent fully the next year. It starts all over the following year. So that wouldn't be to George Pickens' best interest. The other part of it is that we get a long-term deal. Some of the things that he's talked about in that and wanting to get it done, I get that's part of the negotiation. It wasn't too bad. It really wasn't too bad. Staying on those talks about with George Pickens, I remember beforehand looking at a little news. I look at my stuff and I look at the news in the morning with things. And I go with ESPN sometimes. And listen, there's certain things you can get from different media outlets. I don't use ESPN as a viable media outlet, okay? Their entertainment, those talk shows like, those shows they do in the morning and stuff like that, they make statements. And you get pro players are gonna, but they're geared towards trying to just create more questions than really give legitimate answers. I say this for this reason. Where they're irresponsible, I see it is that, and most media people will do this, is they'll mess up the context. So the statement that Jerry Jones was talking about, he made about, I got to get out the part of where daddy said I could do it and you go to mom and mom said you can't. All right. That was a statement that he was making about as far as the George Pickens negotiation. It was asking, and he was just saying things that he's got to do better at. He was actually saying to himself, this is what he has to do better at, calling himself out the fact that because they were asking about whether he wants to deal with agents or, how he deals with agents. And basically, I know he's referring to what he said in that term. I got to do better at that point where he said, daddy said I could do this and mom said I can't. That's the old parent thing. Like, you ask, hey, dad, can I go to the movies? Sure. And you go to mom, dad said I can go to the movies. But you hadn't discussed it with mom, or mom has some other plan. No one understands what's going on. You can't go, right? So you try to use that to say, okay, I can do this here. That's what Jerry Jones did with Micah Parsons last year. That's what Jerry Jones did with Micah Parsons. He talked to him in a sense of, okay, well, he agreed with this deal. The agent's like, nah, we're not agreeing with that. So there's where things got heated, got personal, hence the trade of Micah Parsons. He said he has to do it. He took that little bit there. He took his responsibility on that. Okay? So with doing so, you have to respect it. But the context of what was said there, where it was placed, they just took the quote and laughed about it and made it seem like, oh, there's an old man talking crazy. And that's where I say it's irresponsible. So tying all that put together, hey, look, you're in the phase of negotiations. This is the way football works. When it's the Cowboys, it's bigger news. Jerry Jones helps make it bigger news with his stuff. And we'll just wait and see. It seems like, and from the words he says out there, and I don't think Jerry Jones would have said it if he didn't mean it, or at least have some real intent, that they do want to keep George Perkins long term. Does that mean that they'll do what it takes as far as signing the money he wants? That may be different. Wanting somebody long term is one thing. How much you willing to pay for that somebody long term is where the rubber meets the road. I think that things can get done, negotiations can get done. I know a lot of people feel like, well, we don't need to pay two receivers that much money. I've heard people talk like that. I get it. But you got to understand that, or he's not CeeDee Lamb. He shouldn't be asked for as much money or more money than CeeDee Lamb. At the time when CeeDee Lamb got what he has, George Pickens wouldn't get that much. He can ask for what CeeDee Lamb has now, because what CeeDee Lamb has now is not today's market. Okay, Jackson Smith and Jigba, he has today's market. Should he be asking for that level of money? Does he? No, I don't think he's gotten there at that point. Although he's very, very good. Pickens is very, very good. Has been very good. And you can see that he can do more with a better quarterback than what he dealt with in Pittsburgh. I think some things can be worked out. To me, I always say it gets to this number about what your salary average per year is. I say it's about the guaranteed money. I don't care. You could tell me I'm making this, that, and the other. How much am I going home with? And that's, to me, that's where the negotiation should start, go through, and stop right there. How much am I taking home out of this deal? Things can always be renegotiated, and that's what they're going to do, restructure the contracts and things like that. So I think we'll keep him there. Brandon Aubrey is the other big-name free agent that are trying to resign. They have him under the tender. Jerry Jones said that he's fine with the tender. I think that's where they'll leave it, unless maybe there's some level of something they can get for Brandon Aubrey. Brandon Aubrey probably wants to be the highest-paid kicker, and Dallas is not going to pay highest. They're not going to pay top salary kicker money to a kicker. I love to have him. I think he's the best kicker in the game. But you don't need the best kicker to win a Super Bowl, all right? We had the best kicker in the game. We didn't make the playoffs. I'm not blaming him, but I'm just saying to you, we had to keep it in the right perspective. Moving forward, and I'll say this before I end up with here, I'm looking in the draft, and it's 3 weeks away. I'm seeing us make a move to move up. I see us probably trying to move up to get that dude. If we can get that guy that the Cowboys really feel is going to come in and impact this team on the defensive side, I think they'll be willing, especially if that guy is maybe at number 10, number 9, number 10, and somewhere in there, or 11 right before, then I think they'll make a move. And they'll make some trades to move up to make sure that they get there. Because they really want to hit here on a position of need from a player. But they got to be, if it's going to be a rookie, it's got to be that guy they feel can come in and actually impact the game. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I hope to see. We'll see when we see it. Hey, guys, have a great weekend. We'll talk with you next week. Hey, appreciate you guys coming in. Please hit subscribe, hit like, tell me what you think. I appreciate all the feedback and all the love I'm getting, all right? You guys have a good weekend. Remember, this is Mark Howard. We talk Cowboys here.